I would be in the office working at my first sales job out of college, get off a call or be on a call, and I'd just be looking at lineups and stuff and figuring out what to bet on for that hockey slate or whatever. And I can say that now that I don't work there anymore. So sorry to my former bosses.
Is this your full-time job?
Yeah, this is my full-time job, and I could happily say that. It's not like I woke up one day and it just happened. I was doing things. Hard work creates luck. The best advice I can give you is, first of all, that has to be the best decision you'll ever make, because that makes or breaks everything you do.
What's going on, everybody? You've got Ryan, the CEO and one of the founders of DubClub. I'm joined on the DubClub CEO Corner podcast with Mr. MattyChucks. Matt has recently, actually, fairly recently, exceeded 100,000 followers. He has 100,000 people that will listen to him and what he has to say on Twitter. We're now going to get a chance to learn about his story. I'm really excited to have him on. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's a weird break when we're recording this. I don't know when it's going to come out, but of basketball, and you really realize how much just sports betting just makes the daily life a lot more exciting. And we're doing well nonetheless. How are you doing? Excited to be on here. I've been waiting to come on for a while.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's fun because you've been in and around the DubClub network in particular for a couple of years now. I remember Matt and my first conversation about him joining DubClub or launching his own DubClub business was when I was in business school. I don't know if you knew that, Matt, but I was at Stanford Business School, and you and I were talking when I was outside of class. And you were wondering, it took a little bit of time to sort of get you comfortable with the idea of monetizing for the first time, but we're going to talk about a lot of that today with regards to that, the awesome, like tens of thousands of followers you built up, which then you parlayed into a business now that has helped you and your business partner reach 250K club on DubClub with a great future ahead of you guys. It's really exciting. So yeah, I'm doing well because I get to have you on the show, and we're going to dive deeper and deeper into the story. With that being said, I don't have the earnings club with me. I didn't ship it out to you, but it's here in the studio. So when you get out here in person, you hold it up. But the 250K club sign for the Penguin and Chucks brand, it's an awesome business they've been building, but really started out as a way to provide free advice to the community. And Matt has a really fun personality on Twitter and just a good personality in general, but he's built a great feeling and environment around his brand. Matt, can you start us off just talking about what life was like for you in 2019 before the COVID pandemic, and how you got yourself into this wacky world of, sports betting, gambling, Twitter, whatever you might, whatever we call it now.
Whatever it's called now. Yeah. Life was like I think everyone post college, and you're like, you don't know what you want to do. Well, not you, your life is different. You had an idea, pursued it, did whatever. But for us regular people, we had to go to class, do what you had to do, and then you kind of take whatever job kind of takes you after that. So I was working. I don't remember exactly where I was working. I was either working at my first sales job out of college, just figuring out what business I wanted to get into. I knew I wanted to do something along those lines, but didn't really have somewhat of an idea. Family did a lot of real estate stuff. So I kind of had that backup. Like if I really wanted to do that, I could do that. I ended up going there a little bit, but I was just, everyday life, just going to work, not really loving it, not hating it, but just passing time by, and kind of then I was on the computer looking at bets for the night, just like everyone else is. And I was really, sports betting was legal in New Jersey first, besides Las Vegas. So I got a head start, I think, which really helped. Just look at all the markets they had, man. If I knew the odds that they had were going to go away to now, I would have went so much harder. But, I was also like just out of college, didn't have a ton of money. And
so were you betting a lot? So you were at a sales job straight out of college. Hilarious to me. You don't even remember the name of the company.
No, I remember the name. It was called Corby Hall. They were good guys, but
Okay. All right. You do remember the name, but it sounds like you didn't hate it nor love it. You were just kind of going through the motions. Like you're sort of on autopilot a little bit, right? Like, not something that you're destined to do for the rest of your life. And on the side, you started sports betting, or had you been sports betting for a while?
I did like daily DFS stuff, like fantasy, the FanDuel lineups, DraftKings lineups, when that was like the only thing you could do.
Yeah.
Always interested in like the analytical side of things of like being a big sports fan, um, and just kind of going against the grain in that regard against a lot of other people. We were looking at the
Hmm.
numbers, so the numbers would always stood out to me, rather than like just watching to watch. I really wanted to understand. That's why baseball was big for me. A lot of analytics and just like it's just all the advanced stuff. I just loved doing it that like a lot. I was an athlete, and it was just like you're just obsessed with kind of the game, and then the game when your body or your skill doesn't match up to playing professionally or the next level. The next best thing, in my opinion, is to find edges and gamble on it. That's kind of what I was doing, winning a lot of money
Mm.
for my friends. I was really only doing hockey and some baseball at the time, but it was fun, and it was what I looked forward to every day. Like I would be in the office, get off a call or be on a call, and I'd just be looking at lineups and stuff and figuring out what to bet on for that hockey slate or whatever. And it took up more of my time. I can say that now that I don't work there anymore. So sorry to my former bosses. But that's kind of what's
Yeah.
taking
Well,
over. I'm
thanks
sure
for
that
hearing
that's a
it.
common thing these days with a lot of people.
Totally. We had somebody on the show 2 months ago on this podcast who works at Bank of America full time as like an engineering release manager. CJ from CJ Everyday. He's awesome. He's made it into the 50K club in just a couple months on DubClub. He does that on the side. And on the podcast, he was like talking openly about how he has a full-time job at Bank of America and was like, please, I hope that you're cool with this. And apparently they are. They just kind of let him do it, right? Because what are you going to do? You can't like it's kind of the new American dream to have an online business, right? So you can't,
Yeah.
someone's working 9 to 5 and they're getting their work done.
As long as you meet your
You
quota.
can't not expect them to try to find something else to do, especially if they're passionate and they can make money online. You let them do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it keeps them happy. It keeps I feel like employee morale is like a new thing now, whereas like 30 years ago it was like it wasn't a thing. It was kind of like do your work and shut up. But now it's
Yeah,
like
just get it
the,
done.
the vibes have to be high, and especially with the younger generation, I feel like it's a lot more common. So I think that's a
Totally.
very common thing in most jobs. I'm sorry for employers that probably have to deal with that, but I'm sure there are some bad eggs that just only do that at their desk, but as long as you could do both, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I honestly I think it's on the company. If someone is just sports betting or like they're building a business online and they're not getting their work done at work, that's on the company. The company should
Yes.
know, hey, like this person's not getting their work done, so therefore we're going to ask questions. But if the company doesn't care, then more power to the person who's doing whatever they want. And that's why I told CJ, I was like, look, if you get your work done at Bank of America, they got good benefits, I'm sure. So just keep working there. Make sure it doesn't detract from the business you're running and the clients you're serving for your DubClub. But totally cool. I mean, at some
A lot
point, I
less
think he's
stressful
gonna.
too.
Yeah, it's a lot less stressful, and we're gonna get into that with you in terms of the overall kind of composition of like how you make money now and the stress that comes from running a business online with like not a 9 to 5. But I
Yeah.
think before I wanted to get into that, can you give me a sense for where you're at right now, right? I said 100,000 followers, but I don't know if that's how you view the establishment of credibility for yourself. But if I'm a listener, for our listeners in particular, can you let them know just how large of a brand you've built and what kind of credibility you can establish for yourself so that they know like, yeah, you're very legit at what you do.
Yeah. So yeah, 100 and I think 5K now followers on X, if that's what you call it now. I still have a hard time not saying Twitter.
Yeah.
Um, a couple thousand on like Twitch and stuff. But that's just because I use my face and I talk a lot. I think that
Yeah.
is something really underrated in the space, and that's what you get from me. I've been doing this for years, like you said, 2019, 2020. I started hopping in the space around 2020, 2021 ish, I guess. So I've been doing it for 4+ years, and I'm
Wow.
gonna put my face out there, and I'm gonna live and die by the wins and the losses. And I think that goes a long way in this space now because there's people that just they don't either recap or there's not their face. Like, this is my name is not my actual name. It's my middle name. Chucks is my
Mm-hmm.
my middle name is Charles. It's not my actual name, but like it's my name is Matthew Charles, and then so it's like my name is out there, my face is out there, and every day you see the results. And over time, I think I'm up about 240 units overall. And again,
Wow.
a lot of it is different sports, different seasons. I'm not saying like I get increasingly better.
Mhm.
2022 could have been better than 2023, but I'm as consistent as they come. And I'm not going to say I win you the most money. That's like a very, I think, arrogant thing to say. But you will win money, hopefully have some fun, and there's something every day, and it's consistent. And I'm always going to be as transparent and honest as possible. The results speak for themselves, and I think that goes a long way because people these days look at betting like it's like a hobby too. Like if I wanted to make as much money in arbitrage and do whatever, I'd put my money in stocks or do whatever. But people want to watch it, they want to sweat it out, they want to do it with people and do it together, which is why DubClub is great, which is why communities are great. And that is what you're going to get with my whole spiel, my whole personality. We're going to have good vibes. I'm always big on positivity, bet within your means, and you make your Tuesday night a little better. We're going to win money over the long run, hit a couple parlays, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be more stress-free on your brain rather than you betting all of your rent money, which I never advise anyone to do. And it's more fun and make money on the side. You could either join a club and spend money. Here you can have a hobby, make a little money or a lot of money, and have some fun too. And that's really my whole thing. But they've been doing it for years. I think I have a pretty good reputation. I feel like that's more for people to say rather than myself. But again, faces out there every day. Usually it's good vibes. You get that one straggler every now and then who's just a little crazy. But besides that, that's basically it.
2019 to 2020 is when you got in this space. You have 106,000 followers. Like, what did that journey look like for you? How did you build that up so fast? That's 4 years and 100,000 followers, 25,000 followers a year.
Yeah, it was pretty stagnant. I mean, it's a crazy story, and there's a lot of people. Again, it's not about like I did well, but I didn't know people, but people I just got really lucky with a lot of things I did. I'll give Nick the Picker a huge shout out. He was one of the OGs in the space. He got a bunch of following, and I was like in this betting group with like a bunch of people, and I was only posting hockey plays. And then NBA went on break, and no one knew what the hell to bet on. And everyone was like asking for whatever. I put hockey plays out. They ended up winning. I started posting videos, started doing a lot of stuff. Got a little, help with some collabs along the way. But I will say the space was a little less saturated too, so it's easier to find people, especially those putting their face out there. And I was doing live streams, bringing everyone in, and just finding value and just doing a bunch of obscure props, I guess. I'm not going to tell you that I have an edge on this spread that Vegas has been doing for 40 years, but there's a field goal prop or a hockey prop or a baseball prop or a points or rebounds prop that I love that I think that I have an edge on, and people just loved it. I mean, I'm just kind of doing what I do, and if it sticks, it sticks. People love the content, and I think if you're not a scammer, if you're transparent, I think it goes a really long way. And I think consistency wins. You get your people who join you, follow you for a week. If you lose, they're out, right? That's kind of like if you win, they're in until you start losing. If you're consistent over that time, it just kind of adds up over time, and I feel like kind of compounds over time. And then once you're established, I think once you hit like 10K, you're kind of like in that space where you have to break the next wall. And I think just day in, day out, putting the effort in and just showing good results over time, it just kind of happened. I didn't really blow up once over one big play or one big thing. It's just been kind of consistently growing over time, which I think is better for a creator and a better, or whatever you want to call them, or capper, because a lot of people who hit big once, it's like you don't know if it's real to do it again or whatever it is, or was it luck or this and that. It could be real, it could be whatever, but I think consistency over time is a better approach.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it as a business, right? Like every month, if your brand essentially as a creator is your business, and every month if you are focused on building on top of the foundation that the prior month had established, you actually end up having a lot of followers over time. But if you have one big moment where it skyrockets you in recognition, you can sort of find yourself grasping at straws because you don't have that really good foundation of consistency. I think of it as like a machine. And for you, your business is built where your followers are really valuable to the amount of money that you can make. And it's a question I wanted to get to, which is like, you have 106,000 followers. What does your revenue composition look like right now? Where are you making money from? And is this your full-time job?
Yeah, this is my full-time job, and I could happily say that. And thank you to Ryan, Dash, and Lewis, and everyone else over at DubClub, because that was what helped me take the leap. Um, and
I love hearing you say that because one of my questions is going to be about the first time monetizing and how you almost, crapped your pants
yeah, I
asking
did.
people for money.
I
Which I
almost
totally
did.
get. It's very reasonable, but it's nice to see that you've broken through that and you're actually realizing now, like, hey, I provide a lot of value for people. I sort of deserve to get
Yeah.
paid for it, right?
I think there's a thing where there's right now, especially, there's such an ego contest in this space. And I'm more of like I'm not reserved in like a outgoing perspective, but I'm not reserved in like I don't think I'm like this shaman guy. I just put a lot of work in, and I'm going to find an edge and find a market that I think the books are not on, and I'm going to figure out a way to exploit it. I'm not going to say everything I touch is
Mhm.
gold, but like I think that was the hardest thing for me. It was like it was almost like it's almost like when you play a sport, right? And you play it at a higher level, and each level you get, you're like, do I belong here? Like, is this because you kind of see yourself as that younger kid still instead of like that
Totally.
finished product. And I had to realize that I am good at what I do, and I thought it would come across like almost like arrogant to say, but I put the work in, I get things done, and my results speak for themselves. So why wouldn't I charge for this and do this? It also helps me help everyone else, because if I could do this full time, I have more time to create value, create content, create hopefully winning plays for my clients and others. So that was definitely the hardest thing to grasp. It wasn't like I don't. It was just a weird feeling. And other people in my situation may feel that way too. Some people may not. I think it's more of like a personality thing. But let's just say I'm happy you texted or whatever you did. I think you DM me. I forgot whatever it was when you did, because I don't know what life would be like now. I know what life would be like now. I'd be a lot more miserable in my day to day if that didn't happen. And I'm just very appreciative of it. And my day to day now, my income now is this, because I put my face out there. I get paid to do sports betting talk shows or betting shows, whatever you want to call them. So I get
Mhm.
paid in that regard too. And then the whole affiliate marketing thing with like brand deals and
Yeah.
research prop tools or whatever it may be. That's pretty much all you can do in the gambling space, because regular companies don't really want to be associated with the whole gambling thing. So it's not like Celsius is knocking on my door, but you get the gambling related props and gambling related companies knock on the door. So when you get that following and you get the reputation, if you built it the right way, a lot of things can happen. So I've been very grateful and thankful for a lot of those opportunities. So that on top, it also helps me with the stress, because this is a very stressful job. Not, I don't care if I lose every bet I make. It's like I
Mhm.
know that hundreds, if not thousands, of people could have lost, and they could have needed that money
Yeah.
really bad, or just so close to like pay their rent that month. Like if I get a text saying, "Thank you so much, this run is paid for X, Y, and Z." I actually had an old teacher of mine, and I went to a small Christian school, so don't know if this should be out there or not. But an old teacher of mine DM me and was like, "Hey, it's blank and blank. I'm not gonna say their name, but your picks recently have actually allowed me to get shingles, new like roof shingles on my house or something like that." And I was like, "That is awesome. That is like so cool to just
That's very
hear," and
cool.
that's like a cool moment. So that's what I do this for. Obviously, I need to make a living, but like I love seeing other people just even if it's my friends, like we're hanging out and I gave them a play or a parlay and it hits. There's no better feeling than being that guy who just supplies that, even though I'm not receiving the money.
100%. 100%. So Matt, just to kind of recap, 2019 to 2020, right? You're working the sales job, not really having a grand old time, but you're betting on the side and you realize you actually are kind of good. You get involved in the group with Nick the Picker. I'm kind of fast forwarding, accelerating some of the story, but
Yeah,
you get the gist. You get involved in Nick the Picker's group, and that's when you start to emerge as somebody that has a nice edge in hockey. People loved your plays, and then your page started to just naturally gain traction, growing from like basically nothing to over 100,000 followers now 4.5 years later. I'm really curious, what were you doing before Dub Club, before you launched your Dub Club business with your business partner? What were you doing to monetize your following?
I got lucky. So I will say I forgot to thank someone else. That's the whole Flash Picks company. Um, they had hired Nick the Picker to do a podcast, and Nick wanted a good co-host. And since I put my face out there and talked, and I actually put my own podcast out there, and that was don't ever look at that. I should probably delete that off the internet so no one ever sees that. But that was how I got
drop it in the show notes.
that's how I got my feet wet, and they were able to pay me for those shows. So that's how I was kind of helping stay afloat. People were loving the content, loving the shows, and that really allowed me to, I think, also gather that confidence because so another thing is I was in Book It with Trent's app when he first made it as a different alias under Winterwire Matty. That was our group name, was Winterwire, and that was when Trent.
Nice.
Shout out Trent. Trent is a great dude. One of the best guys in the gambling space, not as a winner, but as a human being. So I was talking to him. He didn't really do a ton of like helping me gain followers in that regard, but he motivated, inspired, and he showed what was kind of possible. I think he was kind of the first kid out of college who kind of showed you that, hey, content or whatever can kind of make it in this space. And talking to him all the time, and that Book It app thing didn't work out, and he figured it out. But doing all that stuff and just kind of, it's not like I woke up one day and it just happened. I was doing things. The phrase, throw as much shit against the wall, see what sticks. And just don't give up. And if you know you're good at it, if you know it's there, things will happen. Hard work creates luck. And that's kind of what happened. It was just consistent hard work, created some opportunities, took advantage of it. And here we are.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good lesson generally for budding entrepreneurs, people that want to do this online, create content. There's a quote that I've seen that has been passed around, but basically says, if you want to grow your follower base, you have to get up and post at least one piece of content every day for 365 days. And that is what will help you get your brand and your creator image going. And it sounds like for you, it's just trying a lot of stuff. And that's a really good lesson because the opportunities open up when you are actually actively putting in the work, because if you don't do anything, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. People say, not me, but people, this guy got lucky. It's like, well, he was doing it every day until something happened. It's like, you're not going to get that moment if you're not out there, and that's kind of the 100%. Lesson I learned. I tried doing a basketball training company with one of my best friends from high school that I've known since kindergarten. When COVID happened and I was doing a bunch of stuff, I was doing like in college, I didn't drink my freshman year, and I was doing like pre-Uber because it was either me or some random guy that didn't speak English because Uber wasn't here yet, going to parties. So I was like,
yep,
I can make a killing here because I know everyone. They know me. They trust me to pick them up, text them. I was making like $1,000 for 3 hours and like a Friday night, Saturday night. And then
so
Uber
from the early
kicked me out of
days,
business.
You're an entrepreneur. Yeah, you were Uber before Uber was there. Right? You just didn't have the technology to connect you to people.
They kicked me out, man. That was brutal. Now I was like, I might as well drink now when Uber came. So it's just one of those things where my mind's always racing. It's a blessing and a curse, right? Because it doesn't turn off. But totally. I'd almost rather it be that way.
Yeah, 100%. That's what generates a lot of the ideas that you have that you're able to act on, and that creates the opportunities because you're acting on them. It's kind of like a snowball, right? You just have to do it, and it'll build over time.
Something will happen, and you'll find something.
I want to double down on the question of what you were doing before you launched your DubClub. You said you had been sponsored by Flash Picks and were making some money through that, but you hadn't charged anyone a single penny for the sports betting advice you were giving, for the plays you were giving out, and for the community vibes you were creating. What was it that ultimately got you over the hump to want to monetize the advice and the research that you're doing that goes into the experience that you provide your followers?
Yeah, again, I was juggling that mindset of like, don't want to be looked at as a certain way or like this like reputation or this and that. And I was just like, also I was getting married. And for those who are getting married, that those bills rack up. And I was at the point where I was like, I either got to shit or get off the pot. It's like, this is either something or it's nothing. And I'm like, I'm going to go all in, take the step. If it fails, maybe this isn't for me and kind of steer another way. And if it works, it could be the best thing I've ever done. So getting over that stupid mindset of that I had was the only
Mm-hmm.
obstacle. And I was like, I'm kind of doing myself a disservice here by not doing this. And I went paid, and I mean, I got maybe one or two people saying like screw you, but everyone else was like, you deserve this, you made me so much money, like more than
Yep.
happy to do this, like love what you do, blah blah blah. So real life happened. I started to actually have to make money, and
Yep.
kind of just man up a bit, honestly. And that's really what I had to do, and that's what I was doing. I was just kind of doing my regular job, not getting paid for this, just doing this out of like pure love for the game, I guess. And then I was like, you know what? Like, why am I not getting paid for this? It doesn't make any sense. And you kind of helped get past that a little bit. And I was like,
Yep.
you know what? Let me team up with someone I know in the space, which was Penguin. And I'll make this a little easier on myself. So it's not just me. We talked, we chatted, the whole story. And it's just,
Mhm.
one step led to another. We went paid, and it was fantastic.
So a couple questions on that, because I'm very curious. Why do you think certain people didn't like that you had gone paid?
I think it's just people are weird, man. I get every year I get older, which I'm only 28. You realize people just honestly, I love a lot of people, but some people just suck. At the end of the day, they're either
Yeah.
jealous or they're mad or they're hating for no reason. People can hate on free plays, and people root for people to lose. I mean, I don't know where we are as a society, but I can go 17
Not
and
not
one.
winning more together. That's for sure. That's why
No,
our mission is to help more people win more together. We want people to win. That's all.
I went 17 and one, and someone was like, "Fuck you!" I'm the one I lost. I'm like, if you're gonna get mad, you just can't help people, and you have to realize that you're not gonna help everybody. You're not gonna save everybody. You're not gonna lift everybody up. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, I'm all about positivity in the space. Does it suck when I lose bets? Sure, but like this should never take over your mental in that way. And as much as it sucks to lose money, like as long as we're doing it within our means and making money in the long term, like if it affects your mental that much, like you got to get out because it could be a bad place. I think that's what we're seeing is people are just in a bad place either mentally, they want to talk on the internet, and it's like with what celebrities say when people get hate all the time is you're not going to change their minds. So
Yep.
you just got to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people use the internet as a way to just release anxiety and stress, and it's kind of like talking into the void. But for you, it's good. You got over that quickly. You guys ended up, so you and Penguin launched your DubClub and ended up making a very sustainable income very fast, even though you guys hadn't paywalled everything. Can you talk a little, Matt, about some of the signs that you saw from maybe your followers or your engagement that suggested the business would be a success? Because it sounds like you weren't fully convinced, but you had enough to go off of that made it worth the leap. What were some of those signs that you saw for someone that maybe is thinking about monetizing their audience for the first time, launching a DubClub? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I did it a little weird too. I kind of threw like not an Easter egg, but it was April Fool's, and I was like, every year I did the thing where I would like fake going paid on April Fool's, and then every year I got more people saying like, "Oh, I would have bought it anyway," or like, "Oh, like this would have been sick anyway." So kind of like, I'm not advising anyone to do that, but that's kind of what I kind of did just to see. And then I just made good relationships with people. And again, my story is different. I don't know if that's because I talked to them. I'd go on stream for an hour, talk baseball, prove I know what I'm talking about, and convince them that I know what I'm talking about. And they just loved the content, loved the stuff, loved the value. And I think just getting that constant daily, almost like validation, because I knew it,
Mhm.
but it was almost like you still kind of need the market and the audience to agree with you, right? Because if you make a product and the market and audience doesn't agree with you, you're not going to do well. So I kind of saw a little bit of that all the time, and I was like, you know what? It was at the time where it was like I either got to shit or get off the pot, and I thought I had more positivity than bad, and when I did it, it was in my head I got way more backlash than I actually got. So like it was just your mind can be your biggest enemy too, because I could have went paid probably way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
and it is what it is. But better late than never, right?
Totally. And you, part of your story involves a business partner, right? Penguin, Lord Penguin on X, who also has over 100,000 followers. You guys have built your own respective followerships independently, but have now sort of combined them. Talk a little about the dynamic between you two, and maybe, again, advice that you might have for someone that is nervous to do this for the first time, but recognizing that a business partner can help alleviate some of the uncertainties that come with starting or launching your own business that generates revenue for the first time.
Yeah, I think just having people around, it's going to cut into your profits, A, but B, it's just gives you that, like, you're going to war with someone else. It's like that team aspect of, like, it's not like you're playing golf or whatever. It's like if you bogey, that's it. Like, you kind of go in, and your partner can save you some days. Your partner can help you with the stress of life some days. Hopefully that business partner is a friend as well, or someone you respect and can talk to as well, because life happens. And you can kind of go up and down mentally with things in the gambling space or without. Things can happen. You can have deaths, you could have, losses or whatever it may be in real life. And just like you in your work or whatever, who you have surrounded by yourself kind of makes or breaks your mood and everything going forward. Where if you have to deal with everything by yourself, it could be a lot to take on. So props to you if you can. If you're a young creator and you really want to, if you're nervous about making that step, maybe talk to some friends that you trust. Again, don't just pick your boy, just he's your boy who sucks at this or whatever, but choose guys, like really think about who that partner is. Sometimes your best friends are not your best partners. And if that was the case, I'd make some bad decisions if I had my best friends. No offense out there to you guys, but there's certain people that you can think about. As long as you do it calculated, I think it just helps alleviate everything. If you have to take a rest day for yourself, there's no pressure to post for that day. Your partner can do it, or your group can do it. So be mindful of who that is, but it's worth way more than money at this point. Just having someone that you trust, like, and respect be in the space with you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. It sounds like a team member can take some of the strain off of what is like a pretty time-intensive job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, if you're in this space too, love my wife. She lets me do so much in this space, but like it's a demanding job. You work during the day, you find your stuff, maybe you record some videos, and then at night, we all know you're checking your phone on the scores during dinner or during whatever, or this and that.
Yeah,
so
talk a little bit about that. I mean, what is the day in the life of a CEO of a sports betting content business? What does that look like, and why do you do the things that you do?
Listen, I'm going to say this. The best advice I can give you is first of all, your partner or the person you marry, that has to be the best decision you'll ever make, because that makes or breaks everything you do. And my wife is the best person I've ever met on this planet. I have not been to Mars yet, so there could be one out there maybe, but on this earth, it is the best person by far. Obviously you're going to have your trials and tribulations where you're going to, and you need to be checked. Like there are times where I'm looking at a Pistons, Milwaukee Bucks box score for 25 minutes. That is not the best thing for us in our lives.
Yeah, it's not the best use of your time at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. There are times that you need to be checked, but someone who checks you and makes sure you're good mentally, but also respects that you have to do it, is key. Because when real life happens, a lot of you young guys out there, you're going to get married, or you're going to move in with your girlfriends. You're going to get engaged, get married, possibly have kids. Like, what you guys do from a dynamic of a spouse relationship, it's either going to be done, or you're going to be done with this, or you're going to be divorced probably, or broken up, because it's a demanding job. You have to have someone who understands it, or that's it. I mean, that's the best advice I can give you, because that's going to make or break everything, because it is a demanding job. You have to do it at night, wake up in the morning. The space constantly changes, and you have to adapt. There's this whole thing about like early line, and that it's like stupid if you only grab early lines. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because the sports books adapt on a daily basis. So if you can find an edge on them, you take that. If that is staying up and posting a play 3 days beforehand, 2 days, I don't care. That is getting value for people, and you're putting the effort where it needs to be put in. I cannot stand people who hate that. Like, oh, you're going to get limited. Like, there's ways that you don't get limited. This person that you're who's also taking your bet is probably betting 10 parlays that day anyway, and they're probably not getting limited. Sure, will they get reviewed on maybe early line value coming up? But at the end of the day, they won't bet that play going forward. Like, it's just everyone is so ticky-tacky about this topic. But like, if the sportsbooks can adjust and take things away, why am I giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying, I'm not going to play Austin Reeves at 4.5 rebounds. I'm going to wait a day until it's 5.5 and then play the over. Like, why would I ever do that? Like, it blows my mind to people in this space. And like, you just got to understand that this is a battle and a war that changes daily, and you got to adapt. Like any business, you have to adapt.
So it sounds like a lot of your day-to-day is actually just keeping your head on a swivel.
Yes. I mean, it's kind of like there's people who bet early lines, people who wait for injury news. And that's the same to me as early line. It's like people who complain about early line are fighting injury news. Like, you just waited for this to come out and you beat the book in the minute before they took it down. Like, and to me, there's no difference. And to me, if that's how you want to play it, then you can play it that way. There's many ways to, play this game, and you can't knock on anyone for finding a profit. And if you can't follow it anymore, you can't follow it anymore. That's just the name of the game. But you can't say you can't count this or that's stupid or this and that. Like, there's so many ways to do this. And it is like beating the lines. 2 years ago, I could have waited till an hour before tip off. But now with the saturation of not only cappers, but just the average person turning 21 and then being able to bet, or Prize Picks them turning 18 and being able to bet, like the older people who don't bet are dying off, and the younger people are only being able to bet. Like, we're not at the peak. We're not at the beginning still, but we're still going up in total users here. So they're going to get their volume and their liquidity all across. Like, 2 years ago, I could have waited. Now with West Coast time, they're going to stay up, and I have to stay up now and do my stuff. But that's the name of the game. I gotta abide by the rules. If I want value, I gotta do what I gotta do. I can't just complain about it. Like, who cares? I have to stay up later. It's my job. It's what you're paid to do.
Yep. And that's important, right? It's like, because you are being paid to do that, you now have a bigger incentive to work harder, basically.
Exactly.
Like, if it was free, you wouldn't really care that much about staying up late, getting the early line value, putting something out 3 days early. It wouldn't really matter because you're doing it for free, but now you're having people pay you, and they expect that level of service.
I'm going to work to find value.
It's a good benefit of, it's a good benefit to the consumers that subscribe to you, that they pay you, because now you feel much more incentive to do better work for them.
Exactly.
Which makes everyone win more together. And that's
it's almost like it's like Jahlil Okafor was drafted second overall. He can't shoot, big man. I'm sure he's pissed the NBA you have to shoot now. That's why he's not there. You don't think he's like, oh, it's not fair that all these big men are shooting now and I can't. No, you got to learn to shoot, or you got to get out. Like, it's just the name of the game.
Yep. So Matt, this has been a really good segment to dive into, because you came from a world on social media where you weren't monetizing your audience, and now you have 1,000+ people paying you guys on a consistent basis. Can you talk a little bit, in addition to the roof shingles story, talk a little bit about some of the stories you've heard from subscribers that have won money from either tailing your plays, using Penguin sheets, or just being a valued member of your DubClub?
Yeah, no, people, one guy paid for like half of his honeymoon, because I hit this I think it was like 2 years ago when I used to bet a lot of hockey props when the books were really dumb. It was like a 3-leg, like, I forget what it was, but it was like plus, I want to say plus 10,000, like $10 to win 1,000. And he put like $50 on it. His honeymoon was like 10 grand, I think. He put 50 on it to win like 5 grand, like 3 days before he left. And that was cool. I was like, that's sick. He probably was super stoked to tell his wife and do whatever. But there's a lot of just little stories like that of like, you help pay for my classes this semester for some college kids, like who went to whatever. It just, that stuff helps you keep going. Like, yeah, the money and the whatever daily stuff is cool, but like knowing that you can like help somebody else out, like pay something just by the work you put in, like, is really rewarding. I'm not saying I'm like a frontline nurse, but like, it's like, just knowing that my work and my efforts can lead to that possibility for someone, it really helps just every day keep going because every day it can get stale. You could just lose some
Mhm.
energy, lose some motivation, but that stuff. There are some other ones, but on the spot, I really can't think. Those are the ones that really stuck out to me the most.
No, those are great. I mean, paying for half a honeymoon with the winnings from a ticket that you helped him cash, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Have you? You mentioned that with your growth on X, it's been fairly consistent over time. Have there been any big tickets you've cashed where the growth jumped, like you took a leap in followers because of it? Do you remember anything that comes to mind?
Honestly, no, because I've hit some big ones. Like that one, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, define big. I guess I did gain like 5K from like a 26K to like 31K. That's big jump,
Oh wow.
but nothing like I've seen some guys now they'll gain like 50K, 60K. I'm not talking that, which again,
Mhm.
all the power to them. That's awesome, but I think it's less beneficial in the long run. But I mean, if I could do that, I wish I could do that. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I've gone like little jumps here and there. Again, a good parlay goes a lot longer than like a 17-3 run like I just went on in an NBA. Like it's cool, but the parlays are what's there. I did hit a massive futures bet like when I was smaller, and I didn't hit it at the time, but I posted the screenshot of it like
Mhm.
after I like went into this space, like saying what I did hit, and that got me
Yeah.
a few thousand off the rip. It was COVID, all the sports were down, and this is pretty embarrassing to say out loud to show you where we were as a society. But it was like 8:47 a.m. I wonder if I can even find the bet stamp of it. But it was like 8:45 a.m. I was so bored. We had nothing going on. I think it was late January. The Chiefs were about to play someone in the Super Bowl. I think maybe the Niners or whatever it was. But they were like plus 135 to win the Super Bowl. Maybe it was like the AFC Championship game. I was like, I'm going to parlay that with the winner of the Stanley Cup, the winner of the NBA Finals, and the winner of the World Series.
Wow.
And it won. And then that was sick. It was like $10 for I think 5 grand.
That's insane.
And it was like I have it right here. I placed it at 8:05 a.m. actually, which is even worse. On January 17th, 2020, and I posted that I did that, and I was like, I want to try this again. Not thinking of like anything at the time. I was like, this was awesome. Let's see if we could do this
Yep.
together. Did not work the next time, obviously, but that was a big one. I think that jumped me a little bit when I first started.
Wow. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was
That's pretty
wild.
incredible. And that definitely does give us an idea of where you at least were at during COVID at
Yeah,
8:05 a.m.
that's
thinking of what
embarrassing.
futures you could put some money
I
down
actually
on. I
remember
love
where
it.
I was. I was laying on my floor in my living room at 8:05 a.m. with my phone, looking at futures odds.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the day that we live in, where you can hop onto the sports book from your phone and have some fun with it. But that's also the danger because there's a lot of advertisements, as you've seen, that highlight oh, trust your hunch or trust your gut. But it's like, no, that's actually what's going to lose you money. Trust a guy like, MattyChucks, Lord Penguin, the guys that are
Yeah,
actually giving you guys the proper advice, doing the research up front, spending a lot of time going into the numbers, making sure that they're doing
it's a
the
lot
work
of
for you all.
time. I think that people nowadays, there's a lot of scammers out there, and a lot of people that are like, they just look at like a props.cash sheet and call it a day. Um,
Yep.
but there's a lot of time being put in. I mean, like every morning, I'm waiting for odds to come out. I'm seeing what I think they should be, matchup based, and it's stuff that's not like they're not tangible. Like you can't like really like measure that like work, but like it's just constant checking, constant looking, and that's what's going to bring you the most value. Just you being, I hate to say consumed with the 24/7, but that's who you want on your side anyway. If I was paying for someone's
Yep.
picks, I want to know they were waiting every single time. So if I'm just getting my coffee,
Totally.
taking my morning dump, oh hey, this line just came out. Oh, thank you. I could do that right now before I go into work. Like, that is what
Yep.
you want, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to have to do the work. You want someone to do the work for you, and you pay them for it. Guess how many
Yes,
Americans have a wealth advisor?
I have no idea.
130 million.
Yeah, that's I mean, I'm not trying to look at stocks all day and figure out what's going to do well. That's not my
No, of
thing.
course not. Like, and people, you have a bankroll when you bet on sports. So, you make $5,000 a month from your 9 to 5, you set aside $500 of it, 1,000, whatever, that bankroll, you should have somebody helping you to allocate that in a way that doesn't blow it all within the first couple weeks of
100%.
using it, right? Like,
And human nature is going to have bias, right? So I'm going to invest in companies I think are good, whether or not
100%.
their stocks are going to perform well or not. So I'm going to choose the professional who has no emotions tied in and has done this and worked the market and can hedge my positions, and not put all my eggs in one basket, rather than, like, I see in sports betting all the time. These guys are like betting on like their football team's tight ends yards because they think that they're good. Like, that is just going to lose you money. And that's a great example of the stock market, because that's someone that I have someone where I don't know the number, but that's what I don't want to touch that. I don't have the time or the energy to do that. So I will gladly pay someone to do that for me.
Totally. But I think what's way more fun about sports betting is that you have it's like real time. So you have the action of watching it play out, and it's a quick outcome. So it's usually 2 to 3 hours, the duration of the game. You can see what happens, and because you put money down on it, you literally have skin in the game, and it makes something that you may not have watched or cared about more exciting, especially if you're listening to someone that knows what they're doing. And the probability then increases that you'll win money, which is what, at the end of the day, basically half of the people that bet on sports do it because they want to make money. Most do it for fun. It's like you can marry the two with, your DubClub and many other DubClubs, and that's the whole purpose. Win more together. You don't have to just sit there and lose, or try to figure out how to do it on your own. Subscribe to somebody like Penguin and Chucks, and you'll have a much better experience.
Absolutely.
Matt, it's been awesome having you on, man. We already ate up a lot of the time on this pod. Do you have any parting thoughts for the audience with regards to what you've learned in the last couple of years building your business in this space, and looking ahead to 2025 and beyond with the Penguin and Chucks brand in particular, and MattyChucks as a standalone?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've learned over time is like, I think Nike does a great job of saying this with just do it, but like, whatever you can make your phrase around that. I mean, just put yourself out there, and just, time flies by, man. Life is short. Life is just so precious in itself, and you can see I've been doing this for 4 years, and like, I feel like it's been like 6 months sometimes. It also feels like it's been 10 years, but time flies by. And while you're young, while you don't have the responsibilities, like, do it. What's the worst that happens? You fail. I'd rather say, oh, I did this and it did not work, rather than saying, I wish I did this. That could have been so cool. I really regret not doing that. Because down the road, when you get responsibilities and life happens, it's 10 times harder. So, I mean, just seize the moment and just do it. And don't be afraid what anyone thinks of you. That is the biggest thing. People are so afraid to like start a business or start making videos because they're worried that their friends are going to make fun of them or people are going to laugh at them. Dude, just do it and don't care what anyone thinks. As long as you're a good person and you try to do things the right way, who cares? That's it.
That's great advice. Take the trademark from Nike, but we'll put it on a MattyChucks logo. Just do it. Get out there, start posting. Do your thing, right? I would do that. Yeah. Do your thing.
Do.
Yeah, just do. Period. MattyChucks. It's like the I don't know if you're an Office fan, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yeah, that's it though. I think that's the best advice you can do. I mean, there's a lot of bad things in life. Just do what you love to do, and if you make money doing it, you won. That's my thing.
100%. Yeah. If you're doing something you love, it's not called work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you can make money from it now with launching your business on DubClub. So that's
and that's my advice.
To take away.
Make a DubClub. Let them guide you. The tools that they have here are second to none. And the innovation on a daily basis, they just add more and more to it. And just a great group of guys that just get it. I think the people you work for and work with are everything, like I said before. So if I had to recommend anybody, obviously it's DubClub, and just get out there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Matt. With that being said, thank you for joining the DubClub CEO Corner. It's been an absolute blast having you. Hopefully the listeners feel the same. I know they will. We will catch you all next time on the DubClub CEO Corner. Over and out with MattyChucks. Thanks, Matt.